guys, it's Serena from Prettywildthings, and today I'm doing my maybe second part of my favourite ... series, and today I'm going to be doing my favourite foundations and BB creams. So let's go! I've got my notes here written down on each product, and I've got four things to show you, and this is actually all the foundations or BB creams that I will use on a day-to-day basis, possibly the only base products that I actually own. If I don't like something or the shade doesn't suit me, I'll generally either give it away or just get rid of it, because there's no point in me, you know, clogging up my drawers with products that I'm not going to use. So these four are ones that I love and I would recommend, and yeah, so the first one that I'm going to show you is the Gosh BB cream. This is the only BB cream that I've tried that I really like and will repurchase. I have tried quite a few different BB creams and I just never really like the finish of them or the way they make my skin look, and some of them there isn't even any point in me putting them on my skin because when you blend it out it'll just look so transparent or literally like I'm wearing nothing on my face, that there's no point in me wearing it because it gives me no coverage, and obviously I actually need coverage on my face, and then I end up overloading on concealer and it just never works out right. This is the best one that I've used, and I would say this is really kind of like a really light foundation. It's a foundation, a primer and a moisturiser all in one, and mine is in the shade number 1 Sand. This is a really good shade for me. Other BB creams, they only come in like light, medium and dark, and even the light is either too dark for me or it's just really kind of like the wrong tone of colour. It could be the right shade, but sometimes it just makes me look kind of like grey and sick. This one is a really nice colour, and I kind of put it on my finger and then dot it on my face, and then I'm actually wearing this today, and actually just buff it into the areas that I need it, and then I will use concealer on the areas that I need it. So I tend not to use a BB cream all over my face, just on the areas that I want kind of more coverage, or just I need a little bit of evening off my skin tone. It doesn't cake at all. I guess if you use too much it does kind of cake a little bit, but since I only use it on the areas that I really need it and I use it sparingly, it really doesn't cake on me, and I use a pressed powder and it doesn't make it look cakey with that either, so they work really well together. Yeah, but it has a nice coverage, and I would say that it does actually give a little bit of coverage on like some BB creams I have tried before, which are just so, like I used the Steeler one, which was like a tinted moisturiser, and there was just no point in me even putting that on because it just like went transparent, and this gives a really nice coverage. I do need to use a concealer, but it works well for me, and yeah. So it has SPF 15, which for some people they don't like having an SPF in their foundation because of you know, taking photos and things, but I'm not going to be taking photos of my face, and even if I did, it doesn't really bother me if there's a little bit of light bouncing off or whatever, because SPF is a good thing to have on your face at all times. And I think actually all of the products bar one here have SPF in, and my moisturiser that I use has SPF in anyway, so I generally do use SPF on my face every day. Today's actually sunny, which is incredible. It's not like hot sunny, it's really still cold, but there's no clouds and the sky's blue, so that makes me happy. So having an SPF, even in England, is sometimes needed. And again, my last point of this is that I will repurchase it. I actually need to repurchase it. I have to squeeze it like to the last drop to get any out at the moment, and I will be repurchasing this when I go on my shopping trip for my birthday. So I think this is about £7.99. I'll put the price of it on here somewhere, and it's from Gosh, and you can pick this up in Superdrug, and I think they also sell online. I'm not too sure. I think Gosh sell on the Superdrug website. So if you're looking for a good BB cream or just like a really lighter foundation, this is great for summer when you don't want a really kind of like heavy makeup on and you need a little bit of SPF. This is perfect, and I would definitely recommend this BB cream. Overall, I give this a 7 out of 10. So the next product I have to show you is the Revlon Colour Stay Makeup with Soft Flex SPF 15 for normal to dry skin. This is in the colour 1 Ivory, which again I think is the lightest shade and is a really good fit for me. It is a little on the pinky side, and I think I'm not really good with this cool warm toned kind of thing. I don't know what they mean, but the other foundations generally have like a kind of yellow undertone to them. This one has a kind of a pinkier one, and sometimes it depends on the day as to whether it suits me or not. Sometimes it will suit me and sometimes I look at it and go, that is not working for you, and I'll take it off again. This has SPF 15 again, so that's perfect. And I have put that this can cake, and this is, I think, out of all of the 4 things that I have to show you, the one that has caked on me the most, or the one that I've looked at and thought I'm going to have to take this off. I do still love it, and some days it works brilliantly for me, but it's just sometimes it just doesn't work, and I don't know why. It is a kind of very runny consistency, and it doesn't have a pump or anything. You do have to kind of like pour it out on your hand, which does annoy me. Or generally I use, where is it? I use this brush every day, and I just kind of like dip it into, if the foundation doesn't have like a pump, I'll dip it in there and then use that to just concentrate it on the areas that I need it on my face, so I'm not using too much. And then buff it in. What else? I'm not sure what it means about soft flex. I haven't looked into that, but on the back it just says looks and feels fresh all day. The soft flex provides all day comfort. I'm not too sure what that's all about. It says it has a moisture balanced, oil free formula for a natural look, and again, some days I would agree with that and some days I would totally not agree with that. So this is kind of really a on-off product for me, but at the moment it is on, and I would recommend this if you do want like a full coverage. It's kind of like a medium coverage product, but I still have to use a concealer because my dark marks are really dark and red and grr. So yeah, I gave this a 6 out of 10. So next product I have here is the W7 Photo Shoot 16-hour Budge Proof Foundation. And I've been meaning to talk, I've been talking about this for ages, but I've been meaning to do a proper sit down and talk to you about it for ages. This is the shade Buff, which I think is the lightest shade. I assume it's the lightest shade because it's the best match for my skin that I've ever found. I actually picked this up in Home Bargains, and I've gone through 2 of these already. This is my 2nd or 3rd bottle, I think. I like that it's glass, it makes it feel expensive, even though this is like the superest, cheapest foundation I've ever found, and I think it was £2.99, so I really cannot stress enough how much I love this foundation. And if I just cover up the title W7, it could pass for a high-end foundation, and I would say this is on par with well actually no, I think this is better than the Revlon Colour Stay. The formula is very gel-like. If you like pour it onto your hand, it's really slow to come out, and it's kind of like a gel, and I don't know whether that's just what my skin really likes more, but it just buffs so evenly over the skin. It makes my skin just look like a new layer has been formed that's perfect. I generally don't have to use as much concealer. I will still have to use some, but not as much. It doesn't cake. It will only cake if you kind of layer it up too much to try and kind of make the coverage full. So I would recommend using a concealer instead of kind of like 2 coats of this. It stays on a really long time. It does say 16 hours, and I've never kind of like tested that and worn something for 16 hours. And generally throughout the day I will kind of lose my foundation kind of around my chin, kind of on this bit of my face here. And then because I wear glasses, generally kind of like, because I just buff all over my face, I don't really need any foundation here because I'm wearing glasses. But it will sometimes kind of cake around my glasses. But since I'm wearing them anyway, you can't tell until I take them off to kind of wash my face. So what else have I put here? This is the only one that doesn't have SPF 15 or any SPF in it. However, I do use a moisturiser that has SPF anyway, so that doesn't really bother me too much. It doesn't, a smell, I haven't talked about smell, and you know how I love to talk about smell. This one doesn't smell, it doesn't smell of anything, which I really like, because some foundations, like the one I'm going to talk about in a minute, have a perfume that's just not what you want to put on your face. This one, if anything, smells fresh, which is always a winner. Another thing I can really say about this is really how cheap it is, and inexpensive and perfect, and you need to get it and try it and love it forever. I can't promise you that you will love it, but I really do, and I will be repurchasing this for a long time. If you remember my really old videos, I was obsessed with this Miss Sporty foundation. I was obsessed with it. It was like the first proper foundation that I ever bought. Having said that, it was Miss Sporty, so proper is in quotation marks. And then it went discontinued, and I was distraught because it was the only thing that I'd found that was perfect for me. And I think that was like $3.99, and obviously Miss Sporty is targeted to like 12-year-olds, and I think I was like 17. So this is like my kind of grown-up version of a cheap foundation. And a few people have actually mentioned to me that they bought this because I mentioned it and they love it as well. So if that is you, then comment below and let everyone know that it is not just me being crazy and that it is actually amazing. And yeah, perfect foundation. Love it. Love it. Love it. I've given this an 8 out of 10. So my final foundation to show you, and my newest addition to my foundation family, is the Me Flawless Cream Foundation with SPF 15. First of all, I'm just going to mention that I was sent this to review last week, so I've not had it that long, but I have used this every day since I got it. I am wearing it today. I wore the BB cream on the areas that I needed it, and then used this tiny amount just dotted all over my face to kind of even my skin tone and just like add a little bit more coverage. I don't even know where to start with this. First of all, the packaging is adorable. The best packaging of all foundation bases, I think, personally. I like that it's kind of like a matte finish and that it's plastic, because I do worry with some of the glass products like the W7 and the Revlon Colour Stay that I might drop them, and if they spill on this carpet, I would be in trouble. So I like that it's plastic. The only thing is that because it is kind of like a matte plastic, if you get a little bit of foundation on your hands, if you apply it with your hands, it will kind of mark the lid and stuff. Not that that's really an issue. It has SPF 15 again, so that's really good. It does sell itself as a cream foundation, and I have had I've tried a couple of like cream foundations from Avon, which were like, you know, in a palette, and it's kind of like a cream, and I never understood how to use them. They just never ever worked for me. Caked like a cake. And yeah, so when I saw there was a cream foundation, I was a little bit kind of like, what does that mean? But when you kind of like try it on your hand, it's actually kind of like a mix between a liquid foundation and my W7 gel type foundation. It's kind of like a thicker, like a thick foundation, if that makes sense. So it really does kind of feel creamy on the skin, and it just kind of creates this base of heavenly goodness. And this was mentioned in Zoella's top 5 drugstore foundations, I think, and she said that it was the best dupe she had found for MAC Studio Sculpt foundation, which obviously I haven't tried, but I trust her judgment, and if she says that it's a dupe for that, then it's a dupe for that. So if you've tried that and you've tried this, please let me know below what you think comparing the two. Now, if you go into a shop and you see these foundations and you look at this, like the lightest one, if you need the lightest shade, don't be put off by the colour that it looks in the bottle, because when I took this out of the packaging, I thought, that is totally the wrong colour for me. That looks too dark, it's not going to suit me. But the packaging is actually kind of like frosted, so it actually looks a little bit darker than it is. So when I tried it on my hand, it was the perfect colour. It is kind of still a little bit too dark. I would prefer it to be tiny bit lighter, and this is in the shade Porcelain Pure, which is the lightest one. I would prefer it to be a little tiny bit lighter, but it still works for me if I mix it with, you know, the Gosh BB cream or Maybe if I had a little bit of a tan, which is never going to happen, but I really like this. The only problem I have with this is the smell. It has a perfumed smell, and you can tell it's supposed to be kind of like florally, I think. It smells a little bit like Parma violets, or just kind of like that musky floral scent. And I don't like my foundations to have a scent because I don't have exactly sensitive skin, but obviously I am acne prone, and anything like that could aggravate the skin or just make it worse. It hasn't so far, fingers crossed, touch wood. And obviously the smell doesn't last too long after you've applied it and applied pressed powder and everything like that, so it's not too much of a problem for me at the moment. But if you have very sensitive skin, I'm not sure whether it would work for you. Another downside to this is I think possibly this is the second worst at cakiness. It doesn't cake per se unless you use too much, and it is easy to use too much with this. Because it comes in a pump, you know, you're limited to how much comes out per pump, so you have to be really gentle with it. And I would really recommend that you kind of dot it on with your fingers rather than just, you know, put it on the brush and go, because I tried that and it didn't work for me. It caked terribly with the pressed powder and I just looked like this orange blotchy mess. So I really use this sparingly, which is also good because it will last me ages. And yeah, overall I gave this a 7 out of 10. I still really like it. I have used it for about a week and a half now. Is it a week and a half? I can't remember how long I've had this, but I have used it every day since I had it and I've not taken it off yet. So I'm happy with it. These are the top 4 of my collection, the only 4 in my collection. The products that I love and would recommend to you guys. I'll leave a link to where you can buy each one below if I can find it, and if I have a blog post on the product I'll leave that below as well. Please do let me know what foundation or BB cream you like the most, and if I haven't tried it, maybe I'll pick it up and give it a go, because I've kind of got into this collecting thing. Now if you recently watched Tanya Burr's makeup collection, when she opened that foundation drawer I was like, oh my god, that is heavenly. And my dad's always saying to me, you own way too much makeup, and it was like 4 foundations and then her drawer of like 70. So I hope that you got an insight into my favourite foundations, BB creams, what have you, and let me know what you want to see next, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys! Forgotten what I'm going to say. I hope the ice cream man comes today because I really want ice cream.